So good morning, one and all. Welcome to day 9 summer school on machine and deep learning for uh, remote sensing application. Today we have resource person Dr. Ramesh H. He is going to talk about QGIS tool with the remote sensing application. Before that, let me introduce Dr. Ramesh H. Dr. Ramesh has received PhD degree from NIT Surathkal, Karnataka. He worked in a wind farm company and World Bank funded project for about 2 years uh, previously. He is working as a associate professor in the Department of Water Resource and Ocean Engineering, NITK Surathkal. He was a visiting professor of for Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand. He has published more than 30 research papers in peer-reviewed international journal and 25 peer-reviewed conferences, which were presented in the national and international conferences. Dr. Ramesh was the recipient of National Doctor Fellowship, Government of India, and Global Water Partnership Fellowship. Dr. Ramesh has guided 3 PhD theses and 5 in progress. He has supervised 32 master theses. His research interests include water resource engineering, hydrology, climate change, application of remote sensing and GIS, satellite image processing, hydro and ocean wave energy as well. He is a life member of professional bodies such as IAHR, ISH, Global Water Partnership, Institution of Engineers, ISRS, etc. He has R&D project worth 4.2 crores from the FACE, Spark, Imprint, DST, Ministry of Earth Sciences, Ministry of Water Resources, etc. Dr. Ramesh is also a reviewer of many international reputed journals such as Irrigation and Drainage, Sustainable Water Resources Management, etc. I request uh, Dr. Ramesh to start your talk. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shamlal, the organizer of this summer school on deep learning and machine learning for remote sensing applications. Thank you very much. And in fact, I am also one of the partners of this summer school. It's my great privilege to welcome all participants for this session. As Shamlal pointed out, this session, 1.5 hour session from 9:30 to 11 is going to be a hands-on session. Hope I think I have already circulated a few files for your ready reference. What I do is I will be covering a part of GIS, the very basic elementary starting steps, then followed by remote sensing application, which is called as semi-automatic image classification, which is the most important tool which is available in QGIS, which is an open source tool. So with this, I request all the participants, have you installed a QGIS? May I know your status of software? If at all, if it is not installed, I think it may take a few minutes. If it is already installed, I think this is the place, the web link through which you can download various versions of QGIS. So you have a standalone QGIS or a network-based QGIS of different version. So there are a few old versions for learners, and those who are comfortable, there are some advanced versions. So here standalone installer version 3.2, it is the most advanced version. So you may find a few more tools in the field of GIS and remote sensing. So 3.16. So what I am using the version is 3.18. See, this is the network installer tool I am going to use presently. So it is a long-term release in old. So you can install 64-bit this network. This link also I think we have circulated. So may I know your kind of things? So this is the first step. What you need to do is, so install all the files of this network installer. So after doing so, so what are the features available in this QGIS? See, there is a step-by-step procedure which is available, QGIS tutorial and tips. See, just Google these keywords. So you will get the basic operations, how to execute your task. So making a map, so working with attributes. See, these are all GIS components. See the various types of GIS operations which can be performed using QGIS. Similarly, the intermediate GIS operation, geographic information system operation, say performing tables. Suppose if you are working on RDBMS of spatial database management system, so you have a lot of tools which help you in getting the desired output. So performing table joins, spatial join, table queries, heat maps, all those things. So this is an intermediate level of the tools which are available in QGIS. So the advanced tools, perhaps these are the kind of operations which the researcher or postgraduate students may require to carry out their analysis. It is not simply to create a map or to generate some output. It is also kind of the numerical models through which you can do the analysis part. So, for example, nearest neighborhood analysis. So, extensively used in remote sensing, GIS, all those things. So, then the sampling raster data using points or polygons, interpolating data points. So, like that it goes. Then multi-criteria overlay analysis. So, the most frequently used technique in GIS. Then the network analysis. Suppose if you have a network problem with you, like for civil engineering application, like river networks. For electrical engineers, it is a grid or a distribution network or a telecommunication network or any kind of things. So the network analysis, if you have a network problem, then you can create a network and then do the analysis based on your objective. Then it comes to the hydrology part. It's a part of civil engineering task. So exclusive tool which is developed in QGIS. So which helps in analyzing the hydrology of a given watershed or a river basin. So which is available on this QGIS. Then, if you are in the development side, like computer science or IT field, or the person who is interested to contribute for the development of this QGIS toolkit, so you have the platform using Python coding. So I think we have been telling this Python since from the beginning of this summer school. So there is a lot of scope in developing the programs or the plugins in written in Python, and finally these plugins will be evaluated by the team members of this QGIS, testing and verifying. Then finally it will be added into or integrated into this toolkit. This is how the entire QGIS has developed. It is completely contributed by the public at free of cost. Then web mapping. See here, there is an integration with the WebGIS or the web internet platform. So one can easily do the analysis of your own task. Say, for example, like real-time analysis. What is happening? What is the temperature map of Bangalore city? Suppose if I want, if you have a real-time access of those temperature data points through telemetric or whatever it is, then you can do some analysis like the web-based analysis. As a result, you can give an alert to the decision makers. This is what is going to happen. And similarly, the flood analysis. If you have a flood warning system, suppose if I want to develop a flood warning system using remote sensing tools, GIS tools, and then integrated with sophisticated flood models, then I can easily say these are the points where the flood is likely to come within a certain period of time. So there are applications related to the real-time analysis through web. Then, of course, the appendix, all those things. So you have all these things. If you click any one of these things, you will get how to do a step-by-step procedure. This is what is required for a learner. Since the participants are coming from different background, so this QGIS is predominantly helps in GIS aspect after extracting the information from remote sensing data. But recently they have developed one plugin which is called as semi-automatic image classification, which is again a free open source domain and which is added into this plugin. So with this introduction, so I'm directly going to start the hands-on session on QGIS. So this QGIS is completely open source, as I mentioned, contributed by different authors at free of cost. And finally, there is a committee who verify the codes because they cannot accept as it is. They will test it and they will verify it. It should not affect the other plugins. Suppose if I open certain plugin, sometimes the computer may go hand. So all such things they will be verifying, and finally they will be integrating into the open source. Finally, the license will be given to the public. So with this brief introduction to QGIS of different versions, so now let me start my hands-on session. So dear participants, have you installed QGIS?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, those who have not installed, probably I have also sent the link. So just Google it and then go to this particular website and then try to install. Better, I prefer the network installers 64-bit 3.18 version. Those who have installed, okay, just go ahead. So you have to download and then you have to install. It may take few minutes, maybe around 10 minutes it may take. Or else you just patiently just watch those who have not installed. So finally, I will be circulating the PowerPoint for each step what I am going to cover. So as I mentioned, this is the home screen of QGIS. The moment you install, it is the moment if you open it, it looks like this. See, there are different panels here. See, this is a browser panel. See here, as my cursor is moving, this entire thing is a browser panel, and here it is a layer panel or any plugin. If you enable, so that will be visible here. So these two are very important. Then this is the working window. So template or new project. So now after that, we just look at this the plugin, the menus. See, it is as simple as your any type of software because it is developed based on GUI concept. So it's easy. It's all are just like a drop-down menu. So if you want to start a new project, say here you have new project and then open, close, all those things. And also you have the layout. These are all some kind of advanced tools particularly in QGIS, which are available to come out with different kinds of maps and other things. So all those things, it is available. Open means a new template, new project name, and all the other things. Edit button. See here are the features. Few features are common in nature, and few features are are different from other conventional type of softwares. So see here, rectangle, circle, polygon, all features can be added here depending on the situation. Then attributes, the database, it could be a spatial data or it could be a non-spatial data. Then there is a geometry. See here the geometry. See here the moment you create a geometric shape through vector analysis, so you have the flexibility to move or modify or edit, rotate, fill. All such properties are available here. Say here. So under this menu, you have all these kind of things. Similarly, view, so different kinds of things. See, one of the most important add-on for this view in QGIS is, so you just after installing, you just go to this view under this panel or toolbar. See here, toolbars. Toolbars are very, very important. See, if you want to do some kind of analysis or creating a map or using those plugins, see whatever you want, you just check it. Otherwise, your plugin will not work. So first you have to enable them here based on your requirement. So by default, all these things will be enabled because of basic components. These are all basic components which is required in order to run. Another one is, see here, panel. This is very, very important. See here, panel. See here, browser panel is activated here. See the layer panel, this is activated here. So after installing your semi-automatic classification, see here, suppose this is after half an hour, I will be talking about semi-automatic classification tool, which is exclusively for remote sensing application available on this QGIS. So if you check it, say this window has come here. See here. See, it has ROI, region of interest, training input, and then home. So you have all these tools which are available here. So we will talk about this a little bit later. So now at this point of time, I will close it. So now I will go to project. Yeah. Similarly, you have settings. See different kinds of settings. So default settings, as I mentioned. So all these things, you just whenever you want, you just go to settings and then try to apply these kind of settings. Then the one other most important thing is the plugins. See, these plugins are available in this QGIS as a separate individual entity. So if you want to identify, see these are all see plugins. It starts from basic elementary level to the advanced level like semi-automatic image analysis or classification. Say for example, georeferencing. If you want, you just see it.
SVNIT का परमानेंट रेगुलर पोस्ट है. SVNIT.
अच्छा वो सूरत वाला.
हाँ सूरत वाला.
नहीं वो पेमेंट नहीं हुआ.
I request all the participants, if you want to talk to somebody else, you please mute your mic and then talk. Otherwise, it will disturb the others. Because my interest is, I think there are few students, those who are, I think, probably showing a lot of interest in learning QGIS. So see here in the plugin, you can search any kind of plugin by typing the keywords here. See here, freehand raster georeferencer. It is based on GDAL. I think probably in one of the sessions, I think we have this GDAL exclusively. The GDAL has been covered in this summer school. So GDAL is very helpful in georeferencing the topographical maps or aerial images or remote sensing images in order to obtain in order to obtain the geometric measurements. See, finally, that is called as the advanced level of GIS or remote sensing. It is not simply classifying an image. We need to identify, we need to come out with what would be the area of that cluster, what would be the length of that particular cluster or a group. In a topographical map, what is the area of a land plot, or what is the area of a lake or a reservoir or an agricultural area. This would help the decision makers to take their decisions as quickly as possible. So like that, it is at this point of time, I have already checked this one and then just select, it's already installed. Otherwise, you just, if the moment, yeah, see here, after selecting this, you just reinstall. So you please try this one in your QGIS. After installing, go to plugin, select freehand raster georeferencer, select it and then install. First time if you are doing it, it comes install. Those who have already installed, it will come as reinstall. You just press it. Right, like that, there is one more plugin which is called as semi-automatic. See here, the moment you type semi-automatic image classification plugin, so you just select it, it's already installed in my system. If you have this plugin, you please install. It is very much useful for remote sensing application. Without this plugin, you can't do anything. So the brief description is given here. So after doing, you just close it. So these two, and like that we have so many plugins. So see here, installed, not installed, upgradable, and installed from zip. See, all these things are available here. So you just select appropriate plugin and then try to install. So at this point of time, I'm going to use these two plugins for this 1 hour or 1.5 hours. So then after doing, you just close it. After doing so, see you have this vector menu. See under vector, so you have the toolbar. See you have the capability of doing the buffer analysis. See buffer, clip, then convex hull, difference, dissolve, intersection. See, all these are based on our set theories. So image clip, image buffer, convex hull, difference, dissolve, intersection, symmetrical difference, union, eliminate selected polygons, all those things. Then geometric tools, centroids, if you want to calculate the centroids. So all those things, see the list goes. Then analysis tool. It is not simply doing all those things. So you have supported with this kind of analytical tools, say count points in polygon, line intersections, mean coordinates, nearest neighborhood analysis. So this is the most useful analytical tool which is used in most of the domain. Then sumline lens, basic statistics fields, etc., design matrix, etc. It goes. Now coming to raster, similar to our vector, we have the raster platform. There are two types of analysis in remote sensing platform and GIS platform. One is vector, another one is raster. So accordingly, this all these tools are arranged in such a way that vector analysis are grouped under vector, raster tools are grouped under raster. After that, see here database. So without this database, we can't do anything in any kind of analytical or computer tool or mathematical tool. It has to be supported or backed with database. It could be simple DBMS or RDBMS. Nowadays, the QGIS has come out with RDBMS based kind of database system, so that you are directly getting the analysis once you have this database created in it.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, yes.
Good morning, sir. Sir, under vector, I'm getting only GPS tools.
No, you have to again you have to activate all those things. Which version you are using?
3.16, sir.
16, it is available. See, basic tools are available, so you have to enable those tools. So somewhere I explained, right? See here, view.
Yes, sir.
So go to toolbars.
Yeah.
See, you have so many things. See, for instance, you just activate all these things. What is available, you just activate all these things.
Yes. All these are activated, sir, actually.
Yeah, activated. Then I think you just see somewhere it is there, because the location may differ from version to version. That's why whenever situation comes like this demo, you should also follow same version. Then it is very much easy.
Yes. Okay.
So otherwise, because of advancement of some of the tools, they used to keep these kind of tools somewhere else. So you just follow it. It's all are GUI based, or else you just take the help, online help here. Just search it, automatically it navigates to that particular location. So all these things, right? Then web based, as I mentioned, QGIS helps for web based analysis, metadata search, and all those things. Then mesh generation. So this is an advanced tool which is integrated in this advanced kind of version. Then there is see here SCP, that is semi-automatic image classification. Under this, see here band tools, download products. This is majorly the data products. If you don't have data product, it navigates to, if you have an internet connection, it navigates directly to the database products. See these data products, see here. Anyway, I will be talking more on this a little bit later. So it navigates to that one. Then see here the pre-processing tool. See, after data product downloaded, so you have this pre-processing. See, this QGIS helps for all these data product, remote sensing data products. See, Aster, GOES, Landsat, MODIS, Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, Sentinel-3, like that it goes. Then band processing. See here band combination, classification, clustering, principal component analysis, random forest, spectral distance. Then post processing. See, you have the accuracy assessment. See here, accuracy assessment of your classified image. Then classification dilation, classification erosion. Suppose if you are interested in using a mathematical morphological tool, see it is, there are few tools are available. Say erosion, dilation, and other things. So you can easily use them. Then band calculation, batch settings, then spectral plot, all those things. Then if you want, you can check this one. It will re-navigate back to your the tools, that is SCP tool. Then processing. See, again under processing we have the tools. See here the tools. What kind of the processing? These are all advanced processing tools backed with sophisticated mathematical fundamentals. Say cartographic tools, database tools, file tools, etc. See here raster analysis, raster creation, raster tools, vector, all those things. You have all these things. So according to your objective and according to your problem, you just try to use these kind of processing tools to come out with a desired level of output. This is what is all about the fundamentals of QGIS. All these things are again transformed into symbols here. Say all these called as GIS symbols. So you can also use these kind of things instead of these main menus. So if you have any doubt, you please go to this help and get search for that particular keyword and then do the analysis. So with this brief introduction of this hands-on on QGIS, now let us start with how to do the georeferencing of any image. Either it could be satellite image, or it could be a topographical image, a sheet, Survey of India topo sheet, or it could be a satellite image, anything. Now, for time being, I am taking the topographical Survey of India topo sheet of a particular area, and now I will give you a demo on how to do it. So now you start new. So or else, yeah, comes here. As I mentioned, you have the browser button. So in which I have stored all my data, and then I'll save all my outputs in these browsers in a particular directory and in a particular folder. So now I have to open the. I think did you receive this topo sheet? What I have circulated? A topographical sheet, a scanned topographical sheet with a PDF. I think, did you receive that one? Hello?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I will ask the coordinator to share immediately. Dr. Shamlal? Or if you have any topographical sheet with you, probably a smaller size, you can use it, because within 1.5 hours, I think it's highly difficult. Even if you practice, it may take 2 to 3 hours of time. So time being, what I will do is I will give a demo. So later on, I think because of the size limit, all these scanned topographical sheets of size more than 10 MB, 20 MB, all those things, it is difficult to send it to all participants through Google Drive. So let it be. Anyway, you just carefully watch it. If you have any doubt, you please raise your hand, and so that clarify your doubt. If you have your own map, you please open it and try to repeat the steps what I am going to do it. So I am adding the topographical map, so which is stored in your computer. So it is something like so it should be in TIFF format or JPEG format or BMP format. So you just add it. So select, you just drag here. So this is a topographical sheet, Survey of India topographical sheet. See, the main application of this GIS is, as I mentioned, it is not only doing the image processing and other things. We need to get the geometric dimensions, these geometric measurements, or the distance, the length, the area, the location XY, and even sometimes if you use digital elevation model, the Z coordinates. So that is the precision which is available in this QGIS. So then only your analysis is going to be a perfect one. So this is a topographical sheet of a part of Shimoga district, I guess, and in the state of Karnataka. Now I want to do the first and foremost thing is the georeferencing. That is, you are assigning the coordinates, the latitude, longitude to these particular points. So though it is not covered in this summer school, so this is the basic principle behind the remote sensing. So all our satellites, all our satellite products are obtained based on this latitude and longitude, the path of the satellite. So the moment you get the data product, you need to assign all these coordinates in order to visualize your data products. So that's why we need to assign this real coordinates to the image. That is the beauty of this remote sensing and GIS. So now let me quickly complete this georeferencing. See, you have all these things. So this is, since it is a scanned image, it is a raster image. Once you convert a paper to a raster after scanning, then the output will be a raster. So therefore, you just go to raster menu toolbar, right? Then just see here after installing georeferencer plugin, so it automatically comes here. So you just click here. See here again, it has lot of features here. So now you just see here add point. See here, if I click, see add raster, open raster. It's already opened, so no need to open once again because it's already open. So go to this one. See, it is showing. What is this? This is a start georeferencing. See, without data point, without projection system, I can't do georeferencing. That's why it is asking no raster loaded. So therefore, just close this one. Again, go back. This is just to find out. So find out, got it. Transformation type is not available. Set transformation type. Just click it. So it automatically comes here. So transformation is nothing but the projection system and the datum system. Projection and datum. See, all satellite products. Once you get it, you need to project it with a particular platform. Then only you will get the output would be a proper one. Otherwise, the measurement instead of 10 kilometer, you may get 8 kilometer. So you are going to lose 2 kilometers, or you may underestimate also, or you may overestimate also. That's why you have to use a proper projection and the datum tools. So here there are see here transformation type, polynomial one, see linear type, Helmer type, polynomial. See it supports, QGIS supports for all these things. So time being, you just choose any one of these things. So I'm going to choose polynomial one, that is order one. And the resampling method, we have so many types of resampling method: linear, cubic, cubic spline, then Langkos. So you can use nearest neighborhood is the most convincible result it gives. So I use that one. See here, target. This is the target which you want to use for all these topographical maps, including remote sensing. After pre-processing has been done. See, for India, it is EPSG 4326. It depends on the coordinate system of the global of the globe. So India falls in this category. So that's why again in India, upper the equator has one, and then below the equator has another one. So since this topographical sheet comes in this zone, so directly you can get it. See, otherwise you have so many things. So see here, the datum is GCS, Everest, India, and Nepal. This is our datum. So select that. So or you select this. Any both are same. So then you just save this output raster in a domain. So automatically it takes K3 modified. It automatically assigns the name modified. So TIFF format. So just save it. So compression none. So done it. So now GCP is not available. So after doing this, now you just try to add control points. So these control points, see here you have this menu, add load GCP points, then delete all those things. See here, add GCP point. If you have already created GCP point, that is ground control points, you can easily download. or else you just go here and then try to add. So the precision of adding these things play a major role. So you have to enlarge the image and then try to add exactly at the center, at the known coordinates. So what is east? X and Y. So what is X at this point? So according to the map at this point, it is the latitude and longitude. So this is the top corner, or else you just cancel it and then you just see here. See here. Sorry. See here, the coordinates are given. See here, 75 degree x-axis, y-axis is 14 degree. So at each and every 15 degrees, see here 15 minutes, so there is a grid. So this is the location, this intersection point is the location at which you are giving x and y. So always you have to choose the point where these two values are available. Otherwise it is too difficult. So I'm just adding. So this is 75, 14. Similarly here also 15, 15 minutes. So at this point I can take. So I can add this point. You just enlarge it. So click it. So now we have to enter this value. So x value is 75 here, 0.00. Then y value is 14, 30 minutes, 14 degree, 30 minutes. After converting into decimal values, 14.5 decimal degrees. So everything is same. Add. This point is over. Similarly, you have to add at least 4 points. So 4 corners, 4 points, or uniformly distributed. So I can choose this point. At this point. So choose add point, second point. So enter all these values. So when you move at this point, it is 75 degree 45 minutes. So therefore, after decimal conversion, it is 75.75. Then y value, it is 14, remains same, 0.5. So save it. Then the third location, I'm going with a slow pace so that you can also follow it up. So this is the third point. So it is 75.75. Then it is 14 degree. Close this. Then the last point. So this point. So the last point is just add it. Similar is the concept for georeferencing satellite images and aerial images. So you just add it some area. Yeah, exactly. So this is 75 degree 00 and 14 degree. So close this. See here all your data points. See here are visible here. See at this particular point, your see the residual error. This is called as an error between the actual and other things. See here x and dx, y and dy. So always your residual is calculated by RMSE, root mean square error. It should be 0. See here there is a deviation here. See this much is the deviation. So that's why the selection of a particular point play a major role. So at this point of time, I will go with this error because the error is too small. So strictly speaking, you have to make it to 0. So this is the metrics you have to follow in georeferencing. Otherwise, same kind of error will be added for all your outputs, maybe distance or area or elevation or whatever it is. What you perform after georeferencing an image or a topographical sheet, either in vector or in raster. So the error will be this much. So that's why you should be very careful. Make sure that this residual error should be 0, which is calculated by root mean square error. So at this point of time, so only thing is you have to choose a particular point. So right. So once after entering 4 points, you can also go with more than 4 points. So at least it requires minimum of 4 points. So if you want, you can delete, or if you want a similar case, you can add. So all those things. So after doing or entering all these things, go to settings, say transform. So you have to transform these kind of things, transformation settings. So it's already done at the previous step itself. Even if you have not done at the previous step, see, it will ask you once again this one. You just press OK. So done. So after doing the transformation, so then choose a transformation type, everything after entering all those things. Open georeferencer, then run the model. You have to run this. So after run model is here, it is already here. Start georeferencing. See here, done. See, you will get a message saying georeference successful. So once georeferencing is done, the map, see here, automatically appears in your layers. See, it has already added K3 with RGB because it's a scanned image. It is georeferenced. So after that, you just simply close this. If you want GCP, if you want, you can save this one, maybe anywhere. So GCP control points, K3 JPG or any point you can give. I can give 1. Save. So then close this. So now this map is georeferenced. Any doubt up to here? Hello? Any doubt? I want a kind of dialogue session. It is a hands-on session. You know the limitation of hands-on session in a virtual mode and availability of time. It's highly difficult. I can understand. It's easy. I will be circulating all the steps. Yeah. Hello. Otherwise, I will move forward. So this is your first and foremost step for QGIS. So georeferencing of satellite image or a topographical sheet or an aerial image. So is the first. Otherwise, what it does is it takes the local coordinate system, and finally all your measurements will be in the local coordinate system. So you won't get. Suppose if I want to estimate the crop acreage, or the urban sprawl or an industrial establishment, then if you don't properly project it and if you don't properly georeference to the exact latitude, longitude, so your estimated values, computed values are totally wrong. So these values will not be acceptable by any decision authority. So that's why we need to do the georeferencing at the first step. That's why it is also called as pre-processing technique in remote sensing. And you will be removing all errors The geo-rectified images has to be used for further processing, all those things. So after doing this,
Sir,
in the, yeah,
yes, sir. I have one query.
yeah,
So
sure.
normally we have this latitude and longitude in degree, decimal, degree minute second, or degree decimal. So in while georeferencing, which one we should take? Whether it should be in degree decimal or degree minute second?
See, it varies from software to software. This QGIS will take decimal degrees. You have to convert degree, minute, second into decimal degrees. Its online conversion tools are available. You just enter those thing and then compute, get the decimal degrees. It's easy to do it. Suppose
Okay,
if you use ArcView-GIS, it asks both minutes, degrees, minutes, seconds, or there is an option you can convert these automatically into decimal degrees. See, that is because of paid version. So such online calculator, which is already inbuilt in that software, but because of free software, many things I think it's too difficult to incorporate. That's why in QGIS it supports decimal degrees. That is the answer.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
So after doing this, now georeferencing, now you need to create some layers. See, in vector analysis, the layers, all our features, it could be any kind of features, are represented by three vector formats. One is the point features, one is the line features, the third one is the polygon features. So as you can see here, even in raster also, all the features are represented in a pixel. If you look at the group of pixel, so finally, the after image processing, we are identifying an object out of that grouping the pixels. So that is called as object-oriented classification. So pixels will be grouped based on certain principle, based on certain statistical approach, and then converting into an object, and then finally that object will be extracted. So that is the principle. So here, if you convert that raster into vector, then it becomes a vector area. So now this is most important in QGIS or any GIS, creating the layers. So I hope, I think understanding the basic concept of QGIS and its georeferencing, what should be the threshold of georeferencing accuracy, that is the residue, RMSE error should be 0. Then only, but if you take multiple points, it's highly difficult. That's why it should be, the coordinate should be obtained through DGPS, differential global positioning instrument, not simply an ordinary GPS. So it will give you the exact latitude, longitude. So if you imagine, if you are doing some kind of image analysis in a city of Mumbai, so if you miss 1 meter of land with a high resolution image, in a satellite image or a aerial image, say the cost of that particular 1 meter, 1 square meter of area. See, this is how the precision varies. In an urban area, the precision we expect much higher precision, more than 99%. 95%. If you go to rural area, the precision may be around 60 to 70% is okay, all those things. So now with this, coming to the layer creation. See, the layer creation, how do you create these vector 3 layers? See, again, we have the vector layers. So here vector or a layer. See here, you have the layer menu. So create layer. See here, it's very easy as compared to ArcGIS. QGIS is so friendly, and directly you are getting all these options very quickly under each menus. Create new shapefile. So see here, create new shapefile. You just click it. See, it's already georeferenced. See, the target is shown. So now file name, where you want to store this one. So shapefile I can store somewhere here. In a summer school, we just navigate to particular folder under directory and then put the point. I will create just point feature, point or point one. You can give any name. If it is like a telecommunication tower, then you can create tower one, simply tower lay. It's a shape file. It's a tower. So under this tower, so you have different points. So you can name them. So save. It will be in .shp shape. So here, see here encoding, file encoding, you have multiple encoding systems. These are all different kinds of encoding systems. So you can use an appropriate encoding system based on your analysis and based on your project type. It is hard to specify, choose only this one. So it depends on your type of the projects, type of the analysis, type of the output you want to bring it out. So therefore, you can choose any kind of this encoding type. So time being, I'm using the default values, maybe UTF-8. So then geometry type. See here, you have to all our drop down menus. Say geometry type. What type of geometry? This one. As I mentioned, it is a point feature. So you have to choose a point or a multi-point. So you can choose any kind of things based on your feature of interest. So I will take point. Multi means multiple points. Here also it will take. Here points of points you can create. A sub hierarchy will be created. So let me take point. Right. Then new field. This is here the database. If I want to create some kind of name for that, so maybe towers. It's a tower is a text. It's the label of a table in a RDBMS table. It creates the field of the table in one of the fields, towers, under which you can enter the name of the tower 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. You can have the control. Yeah, length of this text. So you can choose and then add to the field list. Just simply press it. So like that you can create multiple field table fields. So you have type it, select the text if you want number, decimal number, date, text, whole number, anything if you want. So decimal number, suppose if I want an area should be in a decimal value. It's a float. So like that you create the table, RDBMS table here. So at this point of time, just to give a demo on this, so I have created only the towers. So after doing, just click OK. See here, automatically your point shape file is created here. You just choose this one. Just choose this one. Select any layer. So right. So after this one, we just you can see here properties. Just click these properties. So see, you have all the flexibility to change color or whatever you want. Point, what is the name, type of shape, all those things, style, everything. So at this point of time, I will be using default values. After this, so it is working window. Now I want to digitize. So after this one, see, you have to make it activation. So it's creating one part, but the second part is you need to activate it for digitization. So how do I activate it? That is in start edit mode. Edit mode, you have to bring it. So go here. Toggle editing means start editing. You just click this one. So as a result, see here in the main toolbar, see here a shortcut is also available. Toggle editing. After the once it is activated, See, immediately the features, the other associated features will be enabled. See here, add points. So you just click. Now this layer is in editing mode. Choose this one, add points, where whatever the points you want, just click it, zoom it. So I can choose a few points. See, this is our one city area. So I can put one tower name. So maybe tower name refers to this. This is actually a big city, town, Taluka town, I guess. Just say what is ID? ID should be one. See, tower I have already created. So for the easy to identify, you just type the same name, Shirol Pop. Done. Similarly, I will go to the another point. So somewhere in the other area. So this is also a taluk headquarter. So I will take this point and then I will click. There is probably a transmission tower or a telecommunication tower or a rain gauge station or a bus stand or it could be anything or a taluk office, anything. So you have to give number 2. So you can give the name of that particular point name. Like that, you can create any number of database. Shikaripur. So of course, this is the area Taluka for CM, Karnataka CM. Okay, done. So then you move this one. So go to another area. So any point you can take. So click. So add 3. So name it. So this is Anandapuram. So like that. Then after so like that, you can create any number of data points, point data points. Then metadata also you can create. As I mentioned, you just create the field name, you just add all this thing. So what it does is it creates a RDBMS. So this is the starting stage of any research project or any administrative project. So once you have this database, easy to visualize, easy to do the analysis, easy to integrate with satellite images or bring the satellite image information into GIS for the analysis. Then now it is in start editing mode. I want to stop it. So again, you just press once again this toggle editing. Save the points. So right. So now editing mode is disabled. Just go to this point. I want to visualize. See here, open attributes, attribute table. See here, there are 3 points. What I have chosen, their name. See here. So like that, you can create towers. Then what is their height? What is their the frequency or any data based on your project interest? You create. And then keep it ready. This is how the point features will be created. So this is what. Similarly, I want to create another one, line feature. Same layer, repeat the same procedure. So create a layer, shapefile, new layer, second one. So file name. So you can give a road because it's a linear feature. Save. So what is this one? See here, line string. Point is over, now line. So then length or type of the road. Type of road, whether it is NH road. Road. So text. So add to the field. Then width of the road. Width. Again, width is a measurement. So therefore, you have to take the decimal values. So precision, after the point, you have the precision, add to the field, then length. So length, again, it's a decimal value. So add to the field. So like that, you just create. Then if you want to create one more information, what is the surface characteristics, like whether it is a tar surface or a bituminous surface or a concrete surface or a mud road or a waterboard macadam, any kind. So like that, the database has to be created. Then press OK. So now see, automatically the line layer has come here. So you always keep this the latest layer at the top in the layer panel. So now you just this one, select this one, right click. See here, toggle start editing mode. So it has start editing mode, means here the associated features for this linear element has activated. These are kind of vertex. I will show you what to. You can move, you can correct it, you can delete all those things. Now this is the line feature. See, add line. So now I want to create a line. See, I am just digitizing. Just left side click. See here. Right side to close this road. So very closely you have to enlarge. So as you can visualize here, see, it goes. It is a line feature. So just for the sake, I am completing this. That's all. Right click to close. So ID 1, always ID should be very important, because as I mentioned, it's a RDBMS database. So you can do the analysis very systematically once you have this unique ID information. Then probably road number 1, road 1, or if you have NH or state highway or anything, you can, or cable 1, cable 2, its characteristics, anything. So similarly, I can create another road. Which comes somewhere here, right click. So road number 2. So probably you call it as road number 2. So like that. Then stop editing. Save. Then the third one, again, I want to see this meta data. See here. So these things automatically it comes. So after doing the analysis, if you want to calculate what is the width, you can also edit manually. If you have a multi line, so automatically it will calculate the width, then length. So close this one. Then the last one, polygon feature. Again, go to layer, create layer, shapefile. Then polygon feature, as I mentioned, area. It is nothing but area. So area could be any, maybe I can take here forest, or a building, or a residential area, or whatever it is. So save. So what is this one? See here, polygon feature. So area, here area. It is in decimal values, precision, length. Okay. See, automatically then start editing this layer, toggle. See, automatically it enables. See here, polygon has come. Then it's post editing feature has come. Maybe movement, maybe vertex creation, vertex deletion, all those things. Select this one. So I can create probably one polygon feature. Yeah, this one. Probably it is too big because of lack of time. I will be approximately digitizing. So left click. See here a polygon which is appearing. It is a reserved forest somewhere. This is how in a vector analysis, in a remote sensing, we need to bring out this object feature through remote sensing analysis. Right click. So probably 1. Say this is the area. So like that, suppose if you choose this one, see here all this one, if I want to close this, see here I want to increase the precision. So you have to drag it. So select this point. Yeah, like that. Select, click on a particular. Yeah, like that. See, as you can see here, select. Yeah, like that. See, we can do this post editing operation in order to bring out the precision. So go here, just see the attribute table. So area can also be calculated. See here, ID, some mathematical informations are available. Mathematical calculator, so you can directly get the values. So no, either in terms of kilometer square, or in terms of mm square, or in terms of meter square, whichever the unit you want, you will be getting. In a remote sensing analysis from the satellite image, so this entire raster pixel will be grouped, and finally we are getting how many pixels are there into, and then what is the resolution. If you multiply with the scale, the image scale, you will be getting the total area. So if you georeference to natural coordinate system, so you will be getting directly in terms of kilometer square or mm square or whatever it is. So those things probably my student will be explaining the automatic image classification, which is available in this QGIS exclusively under this, as I mentioned. So this is the only remote sensing application which is available in this QGIS, but it is more than sufficient than going with the paid or commercial or proprietary softwares. So do you have any doubt up to here? You please raise your hand so that I can clarify. Immediately after, if there is no doubts, I think I can hand over the next, the remaining time to my student. Do you have any doubt?
That
I'm extremely sorry, because hands-on session is highly difficult in a virtual mode. There is no hands up.
yeah, sir. So I would say you just
Yeah, image. Now we will move on to remote sensing application. So how this image classification will be done using this QGIS? Devanand?
Yes, sir. Hello. Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Hello. Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Devanand is my student, second year MTech student. Just yesterday only he has completed his MTech defense, and is about to leave our institute, and he is happy to accept this assignment to give the hands-on session on semi-automatic image classification using QGIS. So he has got an admission to IIT Roorkee for his PhD program in the field of water resources. With this brief introduction, I would like to hand over to Devanand. Devanand?
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
you please
Thank
share your screen.
Yes, sir.
So you just take complete remaining probably 11, probably another 10, 20 minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay. My screen visible. Hello. Is my screen visible?
coming up, coming
Yeah,
your
okay.
screen. Yeah.
So, yeah, good morning, everyone. So in this session, now we will be talking about the semi-automatic image classification using the QGIS. So in this, briefly before moving on, what we will be doing is we will be discussing about the image classification, where we will be classifying the land cover and the land use. So basically, the land cover refers to the physical characteristics of the Earth's surface. That is nothing but the vegetation, water, soil, and other physical features of the land. Whereas the land use refers to the way in which that land has been used. An economic function is added to that particular land, that becomes land use.
Vijay,
So
sorry for interrupting. I would
yes, sir.
say you just theory part,
Yes,
most
sir.
of the people knowing.
Yes, sir.
Quickly, if you go for the hands-on, that would be nice.
Yes. So first step in this will be we have to start by using we have to download the Landsat 8 data. So in that, what we have to do is we have to go to US Earth Explorer. So in this, initially we have to create an account. So I have already created using our email ID. We have to create the account. So first of all, in this case, what we have to do is we have to select the area. So our research area where we want to carry out this image classification, we need to select it. So we will be using this coordinate system where we'll be selecting our area. You'll be using 4 points. For example, I want to do it for the Mangalore area, that is the Dakshin Kannada area. So I have used this 4 coordinates. Using these 4 coordinates, I'm going to mark it, and then go for the data sets. So in data sets, we need the Landsat 8 image classification. So for Landsat 8, what we have to do is we have to go to for Landsat, then we have to go for Landsat collection 1. So in Landsat collection 1, we have Landsat collection 1 level 1, and in that the sub portion for that is Landsat 8 OLI/TIRS C1 level 1. So this is what we need. Next is we have to specify certain additional criteria. So that additional criteria will be nothing but the land cover or the scene cloud cover. That is we will be specifying 10% for now, and then we'll be moving to the result section. So when we move to the result section for different portions, different footprints will be available. This is the symbol for the footprint. So this footprint shows that we can just see that this footprint for this, it is approximately covering most portion of the area. So we will be selecting this and we'll be downloading it. If we have to take 2 Landsat and then we can merge and use it as one. But for the time being, I have selected this one and I have already downloaded the Landsat data. So the Landsat data would be consisting of different bands. These are the different bands which are band number ranging from 1 to 12, and then there will be an MTL file which will be used later. So now we are going to the QGIS. In QGIS part of it, as sir explained earlier about the semi-automatic this plugin which we have to download, we have to load all this bands. So now I will be using 7 bands because the classification what we will be needing will be for 7 bands. So 7 bands we are going to export it to QGIS. Now for this 7 bands we are going to go to the band sets. So this 7 bands so these are the 7 bands which we have selected ranging from B1 to B7, and this is the band set window where we are going to put this all this so we are going to put all these band sets. So we'll first remove all of them with this might be earlier, then we're going to select each of these single bands. So we're going to select all of this band, this single band. So this will be used as single band set. Next is I don't want to carry the land cover classification for the entire area. So what we will do, we'll clip this one for whatever is our research interest or whatever is the area of interest. So what we'll do is we have I'll just go once again to this part. Yeah. So we are going to pre-processing part, pre-processing tool. In that we have clip multiple rasters. In that we have this plus button. We can also use a vector shape file for clipping, but right now we'll be selecting. So we are going to click we are going to use the this one, and once we click on this, then right click, then we are going to select this area. So this is the area. As you can see now the coordinates have come here. So for the upper left, these are the 2 coordinates, and for the lower right, these are 2 coordinates. Now we're going to run it. We have to specify a file where we want to save this. So this is the file where we want to save all the clip. So this is the clip file, and then we have to wait for this to run, and after this is being executed, then we will be files. As you can see here, the processing will be going on, and you can see the percentage how much it has gone. It will take around maybe 1 minute or so. So as you can see, we are getting this clipped files here. So once this is being done, we can just remove the remaining part of it. So all this are not required for us, so we'll just remove this. So now again we have to go back to the band set, and again we have to refresh the bands whatever is available with us. So we have to go here and see, these are the still it's showing as the previous bands only, so we are going to refresh it. Now we have this. Again, same procedure we have to follow here. We have to remove all the previous band sets and we have to add all of them. The new one that we are going to use for the further analysis. So now this has been done, then we have to go for the wavelength quick setting. So in wavelength quick setting, we have to select, we are using the Landsat 8 bands 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is what one point that has to be noted here. That is, we are going to use 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bands. We have selected this. And next portion in this is we are going to find out the reflectance value. So for this, what we're going to do is we have gone to the Landsat. So this is for different other parts like Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, MODIS and all. For Landsat, we have to find out the reflectance value. So for this is the directory. We have to select the directory for the clip. Whatever is now what we're going to use is the clip file. So this clip we are going to select it here. This all the 7 bands that was we have used has come up here. Next is we have to select the MTL file. So at the starting, as I said, we have to assign the MTL file. These are the MTL files which we will be getting once we download the Landsat image. So this is the file. We have to select this. And then we have to apply for the atmospheric correction. So we'll check this part, and for Landsat 7 or 8, we can perform the pan sharpening, and then we will be running this one. So what we are going to obtain with this is the reflectance value. So that reflectance value will be keeping it in this folder. This reflectance, we have to create a folder here, and then we are going to save all the values of this in this reflectance folder. So now again we have to wait for this to run, and we will be getting the reflectance value corresponding to all these different bands. It would take around 1 minute or 30 seconds to 1 minute of time. So once this is being done, then we'll be moving towards the classification part of it. Just a second. So once this is being done, we'll reflectance value corresponding to different bands, which we'll be getting here, and then we will remove all these clip bands, because again for the further processing we need the reflectance band only. So that's how we are going to proceed. Generally these steps take certain amount of time, because there are a lot of bands, and the reflectance value have to be reflectance for all of these bands has to be calculated. Now this computation actually depends on the processor also what we are using. For example, the laptop what I am referring right now is IP processor. Okay, so this is what it has happened. So we'll just remove all of this which is not needed. All this layers anymore. We'll just remove this, and we'll move for the further processing. Yes. So now we have, so now here you can see it has started from band B2 to B7. So we selected for Landsat band 2 to land 7, the band 7. So that's what it has. We have got the reflectance value. So again we need to go to the here, and we need to select refresh it. Again the bands have got changed. Now we are from B2 to B7. So here what we are going to do is we are going to remove all of this, and we are going to add this. So this has been added, and once this is done, so now you can see here for this index number 1, the band is 2. So further when I'll be explaining the next steps and all, we have to remember that for the index number 1, the band is 2. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go for the view, and we have to bring back the SCP doc, which was the plugin which we downloaded for this one. So here we need to select the training input. Now, when we're selecting training input, what we need to do is, before this, I'll just quickly within 1 minute, I'll just try to explain this. So there are different band combination for just like, for example, if you are using the natural color, the composite name is natural color. For that, the bands will be 4, 3, and 2. Now, in this case, what has happened is we are not having 1. The band number 1 is missing, so it will become 3, 2, and 1. Similarly, for false color, that is nothing but the urban one, we need 764. So for different type of this characteristics, we have different band combinations that has been given here. So that we have to use it. So what we are going to do is for classification. Now we're moving towards the classification. We have MCID and CID. MC stands for the macro class ID. That is nothing but we will be classifying it as either the agricultural land or the water bodies or maybe the built up area. And in the class ID will be the distinguishing between them. Like for example, in the agriculture we have the agricultural land and the forest land. So but due to this time constraint, I'll just show one or two here. So I'll just show for agriculture and see here that for vegetation, our the band combination is 543. So what we're going to do is 543. In that case, it will become here we need to put the values for this one. So 543 will become 4. To do this, we will be getting the layer. The layer is getting created. So as you can see now, we can see we have created this layer here. This is the virtual layer that is being created. So here we can see now as we all know for different classes the reflectance value will be different. So what we are going to do is we are going for agriculture, it will be having lighter. What we have to do is we have to create the training inputs. So in training input what we have to do is we have to create new training input. We have to go here again. I'll just show this option once again. We have this create a new training input. In the same file we have to show, we'll just give the name as training input. Has been already given. So this training is done. So now once this is being done, we have to go here and for this option we are going to create the research area of interest. So what we'll do, we'll just select some points. As you can see these are the vegetative area, the ones which are in lighter red in color. So we'll just select. What we have to do is we have to just show it using left click. We have to just do, and once we finish the polygon we have to do right click. So this is how we are going to do. If you are going to select more, we are going to use the control button, and again we are going to select like maybe 2 3 how much ever you want we can do. So I have selected. These are the polygon features which I have done. So this is for the agriculture, this having the macro class ID1 and the class ID1, and then we have to click on this one. So this will save the temporary ROI to training input. This is nothing but the area of interest. So this is getting saved here. So once this is done, next part is we will be just going out for the forest part. Forest part is nothing but the darker one. So I'll just do it for water bodies one more because of the time constraint. I'll try to, because it takes a lot of time to create each and every one. We can change the color for this, and I'll show the other steps how we have to do. But obviously when we want to do it for accurately, we have to go for more classes with more precision. So next part what we're going to, I'll just do it for water bodies. So what macro class 2 in water bodies, I can go for the river or the lake or the pond, but just I'll show for the river. So here again, so we have to go back and we have to check for water bodies. It is 564. So for 564 means it will become 453. So we have to go here. This part is just for the better visualization. So it's for water bodies it is 453. Once we enter this, so you can see, we can see this blue color, and this signifies this is nothing but the Netravati basin. So Netravati river. So what we are going to do is again we are going to select. Actually we can zoom it and do, but we will be just selecting some part of it because if we so we can just go and select one more part, maybe 2. I will just for the time being I'll do it for 2 because it takes a lot of time to create for this. So once these two macro classes and the classes are being created, we can also go for forest and all, which I'll not be showing. This will be showing it as blue color. We can change the color for our better representation. Now once this is done, we have to go back. We can still go for other more further classes also, like in water bodies we can go for river, ponds and all. Agriculture we can separate the agriculture with the forest part. barren land buildings and all these things, but I'll just be showing for only these two. So we have to go for the band processing, do the classification. So this classification, it gives us an opportunity to use whether we want to do the classification using the macro class or we want to using the class. So we'll be using the macro class here, and we are going to use the algorithm for this, that is the maximum likelihood algorithm, and then we are going to run it. So once we run, then the classification will be carried out. We have to activate this. This is nothing but the activation classification preview pointer. So once this is done, next what the area which we select, for example, we are selecting this in the image only, whatever we have Landsat image we have got. Once we created, now see, only I have created two parts here, water bodies, and this side doesn't have any water bodies, so it is completely showing as green color, because I have done it's slightly brownish color because I have done the classification using the macro classes. So similarly, I can go here and I can do it for the agriculture and all these things. So for the entire study area, this can be done, and the final land use land cover classification can be identified. Now the accuracy for this, how well we are going to do it, depends on how much training inputs we are selecting. Like I have selected only 1 or 2, but actually we have to select the training, and the more accurately we do, the more accuracy it will come. So we have to select more training inputs, and also we have to look at the computational time also. So keeping all those factors in mind, we are going to generate the land use land cover classification, and accuracy can be assessed for this using this semi-automatic classification. So this is the procedure. This will be from my part. Yes, sir.
Or Devanand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Shamlal?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, any queries from the participants?
Yeah. Vijay, thank you. And thank you, Dr. Ramesh, sir.